Good morning, everyone. Today we will be discussing about the topic domestic violence. So, under this topic, I have divided the whole topic into six divisions: domestic violence during Corona pandemic, reports, types of abuses, sections and statutory provisions to deal with domestic violence, and Supreme Court guidelines and way forward. So, before going into the details of the topic, see, across the globe right now, the hot topic is how to tackle corona pandemic. And while we are discussing a lot many things about how to contain corona pandemic, like in what way we have to trace and what kind of tests we have to do and how to do the treatment. So we are coming up with different kind of things everywhere. There's a lot of discussion that is going. On one side, when this corona pandemic containment thing is going on, there is one challenge that is slowly creeping and started magnifying itself. It is the side effects that we are facing during this containment. That is the challenge with respect to women. So, what we specifically use the word here is the domestic violence. So, as we all know, across the globe, most of the countries they went for a certain kind of containment methods, like we have this lockdown, social distancing, and travel bans. Then there are a lot many ways of containing it. So with the effect of lockdown, lot many people they have to sit at their homes. Some of the most of the majority of people, especially if you take the case of India. In India, we have 29% of them are the daily wage laborers. So most of the daily wage laborers they lost their employment opportunities. Even when it comes to the salaried persons, also most of them they are staying at home. Some of them are not being paid salaries. As the Indian workforce, majority of them are in the unorganized sector. They don't have proper social security. So in this condition, when majority of the people, when the workforce, when they are staying at their homes, so eventually in Indian system, we have this challenge of domestic violence. But in the recent past, during this lockdown, there is rise in number of cases. The cases are getting raised, and we keep on seeing the increasing number of complaints. So, and we are seeing all kinds of abuses under the domestic violence. So, this increasing amount of domestic violence, it made us to consider this as an issue and to discuss. So, in this context, have taken this particular topic, this domestic violence and the issue with respect to women especially. This you can use anywhere when you're writing about women related information. Especially you can use this information in the GS paper 1 and GS paper 2. In GS paper 1, whenever you're writing any information with respect to Indian society, there you can use this. In GS paper 2, we have a specific topic, vulnerable sections. Among the vulnerable sections, one of them is women. So when you are writing anything with respect to women, you can use this particular topic. So what kind of challenges the women are facing. So in that way, this information can be used, like the kind of challenges women are facing with respect to domestic violence. So here I have taken certain statements. Now, if you see the UN Secretary General himself, he has to use this word like there is a horrifying global surge of domestic violence related cases. So we think like domestic violence, of course, in Indian family system we have this domestic violence related challenges, but across the globe it's a phenomenon right now. It's a global phenomenon. So we are seeing the cases in France, even in China, even in Spain, even in USA, even in UK. So in all these places, so we are seeing this rise of this domestic violence related cases. So there are rising number of complaints. Even when it comes to India, so we have this NCW, National Commission for Women, and we have the state specific commissions. So in all these to all these bodies, so they started seeing the rising number of complaints. So sometimes in the form of mails, in the form of emails, or by phone calls. Even the National Commissioner of Women, it even came up with one WhatsApp number to file a complaint via WhatsApp. So in that way, so there is a rising concern of domestic violence. It does not mean that previously we do not have domestic violence related issues. We used to. Okay, but now because most of the people they are not doing any work, most of the times they're staying at the homes. So this is creating the challenge. So this is actually that's why the side effect. So it is growing on the shadows of the corona. So that's why I have to use the word shadow pandemic. So on the shadows of corona, we are seeing these kind of side effects. So here you can use this information like how this corona is create like the kind of social impact that it's creating. So domestic violence is one of the social issues. So in this context, this information can be discussed. So now if you take the definition of how domestic violence, though in general we'd use this particular word for the women, but domestic violence means any individual at the household level if they are facing some kind of violence, violence in terms of harassment, okay, abuses, or sometimes it can be two kinds of violence, physical violence and non-physical violence. Physical violence means beating, kicking, so these kind of thrashing, so they will be coming under the physical violence. Non-physical violence means emotional related things. So emotional means like suppose for example humiliating them, belittling them, so they will be coming under the non-physical violence. So we are seeing both these kinds of violences at the domestic level. So, domestic violence, though not necessarily only with respect to women, but because the majority of the sufferers with respect to domestic violence are women, that's why domestic violence we will be most relating to women. So, in that context. So, that's why when the DV Act came, the Domestic Violence Act came, it paid more attention to the women because they are the major sufferers, because they are among one of the vulnerable sections. So in that context, we should understand, though the definition of the domestic violence is quite broad, anybody who is facing violence at the household level can be considered as domestic violence. But here, most specifically, we will be taking the women. Why I am stressing this much about women? By seeing the report that you will come to know. See the reports now. According to this NFHS, National Family Health Survey, one in every third woman in India, they are facing the physical violence or the sexual violence. Every third woman in the given ratio, just you can imagine. So to what extent the domestic violence is prevailing in the Indian society. And if you take the global thing, even it is not common even to the country. If you take the global level, the global experience, if you take the definite the WHO's data, one in every three women there also, one in every three women suffering one or the other kind of sexual or the physical violence with their intimate partners or anybody else. And we have this National Crime Records Bureau data. This further fascinates you. It will be giving you some kind of shocking what you can say data. In every 1.7 minute there is one crime that is being recorded against women. 16 minutes one rape is being committed. At 4.4 minutes one girl is being subjected to domestic violence. So this is the official data given by the National Crime Records Bureau. But you know the thing here, though this is irrelevant data, but still most of the cases are actually underreported. It could be further more because of the like with the available data, this NCRB came up with this kind of statistics. And if you see, if you come to the India specific thing, India is not that much good at these women related indicators. Though we have this SDG 5, Sustainable Development Goal 5 deals with gender equality. So India is a member of Sustainable Development, this UNDP, United Nations, and signed the Sustainable Development Goals. So it is our responsibility to fulfill the targets. So by 2020, at least we have to maintain gender equality. So we have to achieve to some extent. But if you see the gender equality indexes, the gender inequality index and the gender gap index, in both the indexes, India is not faring well. See, if you see there the GAE, the gender equality index given by the UNDP, India is just hardly in the it is in 122, just 40 notches above the from the down. If you take the case of the gender gap index given by the World Economic Forum, there also we are not performing well, especially in the health and the social indicators when it comes to political empowerment. So we are very low. So in almost in all these parameters, in the social parameters, economic parameters, political parameters, so we are not performing well with respect to women. So that indicates even in these indicators also. Through these indicators, we will come to know. So these reports, by using these reports, we can come to know, we can come to one kind of logical conclusion. The women are the sufferers. So domestic violence means violence being faced by the woman. So in that context, we can understand this. So next, if you come to the types of abuses, what kind of abuses women are facing at the domestic level, at the household level. So we can classify them into four types, like physical, sexual, emotional, and behavioral. Here is the controlling behavior. The initially I also told you. So violence or the abuses are not just physical. So these are four types. Physical means mostly slapping, hitting, kicking, beating, thrashing. They will be coming under the physical. Sexual means sometimes they are being forced to go for this intercourse. And we have these other forms of sexual related violence. And we have this emotional, insulting them, belittling them. That means you're not much high. So we are the way. Because in the patriarchal society, it starts with the male personality. So male has a dominant personality. So they think like, so you people are weak. So in this way, giving these kind of abuses and humiliation. So in front of the whole family members, humiliating the lady and intimidating them. Intimidating them means like they won't do anything to them directly. They will break the glasses. They will break the things. So in that way. So this is what we call as intimidation. Then we have the other challenge, this controlling behavior, continuously monitoring them. Whenever the woman goes outside, asking all the details like where you visited, why you went there. So asking all the nitty-gritties about it, and not allowing the woman to visit to her parental home, and restricting access to the resources. One of the reasons why there is too much of underreporting, one of the reasons is they are not being allowed to get access to these services. I have read one case study in that they mentioned like when the woman, she was not allowed to speak in her household phone. Then she has to visit a nearby place to lodge a complaint. This took place in Uttar Pradesh. So in this way, they are being abused both physically, sexually, and emotionally, and by using this kind of controlled behavior, not giving them proper financial support. So these all are the kind of abuses women are facing. So this further got intensified, especially under this lockdown. So this is the kind of thing we have to pay attention on. Okay, so now in this way they are facing the abuses, but we have the statutory provisions and we have the Supreme Court guidelines. But to what extent they are actually able to provide some kind of protective cover to the women who are facing the domestic violence related challenges? Among this controlling behavior, one of the challenges they are facing is like they don't have this kind of get me see, even if you take the case of the digital platforms, the amount of digital platforms that are being used by the women comparing with men is low. Again, here we have this regional variation. In urban areas, at least women are trying to becoming on par with men. But whereas in the case of rural areas, they are the biggest sufferers. On one side, lacking education. On the other side, they are not getting any kind of access to these kind of facilities. They are neither empowering financially nor socially. So this is ultimately creating a challenge to the women, especially at the household level. So, as we discussed, there are very good sections. They are dealing with the domestic violence. Suppose, for example, we have this section 498A. So, under which, if a woman files a complaint against the family members along with the husband, it's a cognizable offense. Cognizable offense means without warrant, the police officials can go and arrest those individuals against whom this woman filed a complaint. So this is what we call as a cognizable offense. Non-cognizable means they have to go with a warrant. But whereas in the case of cognizable offense, no need of warrant, directly the police officials can go and arrest. Okay, so under section 498A, the section that came in the year 1983, so under this section we have this very strong provision. So to provide some kind of legal backup to women who are facing this kind of domestic related abuses. So we have this section. And we have another one, the section 304B. Section 304B, it deals with, suppose for example, if there is a case, so here there is a correlation between section 304B of IPC and Section 113B of India Evidence Act. So, and because police officials right now, whatever information they will collect, they will follow the act called as the India Evidence Act. So there is a section in the India Evidence Act, that is Section 113B. It says, suppose for example, if a case is filed, because suppose for example, unfortunately if the woman died, right, and the death was caused because of the dowry harassment. In that case, if the police if the police files a complaint under the provision of dowry death, immediately by using this particular clause, they can arrest the individuals. So that means, you will suppose if I am the person, unfortunately if my wife dies, understood that when the police registered a complaint that she died because of the dowry related harassments, so without taking any second question, I will be arrested, so I will be presumed guilty, because my wife died because and then the case was filed under the dowry related issue, the dowry death. So in that case, by using the section 113B, the police can come and arrest me first. After that, I should prove my innocence. So, but first, what will they do? First, they will come and arrest. So, these kind of strong statutory provisions we have. So, and if I got arrested by using this dowry death clause of the India Evidence Act, by using the section 304B of the IPC, I cannot be granted bail, neither anticipatory nor regular bail. I think you guys got to know the relation between 304B and 113B. So, by using 113B, the court can say that we cannot grant bail to this individual by using the section 304B of IPC, because this individual was booked under the dowry death. So in that way, we have a strong provisions to protect women, especially with respect to the dowry harassment. Okay. At the same time, we have in the year 2005, we came up with this personal protection of women against this domestic violence, the DV Act, the famous what we call it, the Domestic Violence Act 2005. We came up with this act. So under this act, it further broadened the provisions of domestic violence. So it used to mention like domestic violence does not mean just a violence, a physical violence. It's also an emotional violence, sexual violence, so behavior related violence. So it actually widened the scope. It even also widened, like suppose for example, we cannot just give the legal punishment. It also used to say that you have to provide compensation. It gave with the powers like it gave powers to the judicial magistrate in what way they have to arrest the individuals. So in that way, the Domestic Violence Act 2005 further broadened the domestic violence definition, provided more scope for women to protect themselves. Okay. At the same time, we have these statutory provisions under the CIPC and under the India Evidence Act. At the same time, along with these, we also have one statute, one commission, the 1992 Commission, National Commission for Women. So, National Commission for Women, if at all, if any case is filed, if any complaint is filed to the National Commission for Women on suo motu. Suo motu means without taking permission from anybody, suo motu National Commission for Women can comment, it will take action. Though it doesn't have any penal provisions, it cannot penalize the individuals, but it can ask the concerned state what kind of actions you have taken. So it got this kind of right. Suo motu, it can take up these cases. So in this way, so we have somebody to hear about us, like this National Commission for Women, to push the governments and to push these bodies to like speed up the procedures, to speed up the trials. And we have the stringent provisions under the statutory provision, under the sections of the statutory provisions like IPC and India Evidence Act. So these kind of like these sections and the statutory provisions, they are actually there to protect the Indian woman. But the challenge lies in where we are actually failing. This is the biggest question. We have very strong sections, we have the statutory provisions, but still there is increasing number of domestic violence cases. Every year, suppose let me see, right now the conviction rate, there are number of cases that are getting got increased. That means the number of cases that are being filed got increased, but the conviction rate is very low. You know what is the conviction rate? The conviction rate is just near around 12%. That means if 100 persons against whom the DV and if the complaint is filed, only 12 persons are getting arrested. What does this mean? Does this mean that all the complaints are fake? Some might be fake. We cannot deny that all the complaints are genuine, but majority of them are not fake. But still, out of the 100 cases filed, only around 12 cases are getting solved. Only 12 individuals are getting punished. The rest of the 88 persons are becoming scot-free. So where the challenge lies? So here to understand this, so we should have a broad analysis. So there are multiple factors that are responsible. There are multiple challenges. Though we have the strong sections and the statutory provisions, but still we could not able to tackle it because there are multiple challenges that. Here, even Supreme Court also came up with certain guidelines. Initially when the Supreme Court came up with these guidelines, the first guideline is this Rajat Sharma versus State of UP. In these guidelines, by using the data, so I am giving you the comparison between the first case and the second case. Initially, when the Supreme Court came up with these guidelines in the Rajat Sharma case, Supreme Court came up with some 7 points. It mentioned like there should be a family welfare court and the district legal service authority should appoint this family welfare court. And first there should be a screening of the cases. You cannot go and arrest the individuals all of a sudden. First the case has to be screened whether it is a genuine case or not. And you should not impound the passport of the individuals. Suppose for example, if the individual wants to visit abroad, if a woman files a complaint against this individual, his passport will be impounded. So the passport will be taken by the police. He will not be allowed to visit abroad. And the Supreme Court mentioned that you should maintain carefulness here. And it mentioned like at the district magistrate level, if the victim and the what you call delegated person, so the alleged individual and the victim, if they both wants to come for a truce, come for settlement, they can solve. So like that it came for some 7 points. And it mentioned that carefulness should be there. So like that it mentioned these points. So why the Supreme Court has to stress? Why the Supreme Court has to stress here? The reason is that Supreme Court thought because the conviction rate, this point you have to listen carefully, because the conviction rate of the number of cases that are being filed under the domestic violence is very low. It means there is a misuse of the Domestic Violence Act and the domestic violence related provisions. So there should be a kind of care that need to be taken by the law enforcement agencies before taking up a case under the domestic violence. So the Supreme Court is fine because Supreme Court here, it will not go by the emotions, it will go by the evidences. So on the basis of the available evidences, the Supreme Court came up with these guidelines. But immediately in the year 2018, Supreme Court also realized. It mentioned like, okay, it is fine, but when these kind of courts are when you are going for these family welfare courts, so first, you cannot go on your own. Like it starts going like these certain kind of provisions that are mentioned in the 2017 guidelines, they're actually going against the provisions of IPC. Suppose for example, if there need to be quashing means suppose if the final settlement came, then the final settlement it should come from the High Court rather than coming from the district High Court, the district magistrate, the district court itself. So like that it made some kind of changes. So with these changes, they further gave some kind of protection to the women. But still, if you go just by the conviction rate means the number of people who are getting convicted. This cannot provide a complete solution because one of the reasons why most of the people are not getting convicted, once you file a case, after that, by using my money power and muscle power, I will try to influence my woman. And we have multiple challenges for this. So here we will be discussing the challenges. So the women are, first of all, most of the women are not able to file the complaints. They are not getting ready to file the complaint. If at all, if a woman is filing a complaint, but still the individual against whom the woman is filing a complaint, they are not going behind the bars. What are the reasons? Why the conviction rate is low? And what kind of challenges women are facing? So because of that reason, still we have this continuous existence or prevalence of the domestic violence in the country. So if you see here, one of the reasons in India we have this patriarchal society. Patriarchal society means male dominant society. So in the male dominant society, obviously, women are being considered as they're next to the male. They're not the primary, but they're next to the male. So in this patriarchal society, so if at all if woman wants to come out, if she wants to come out of the clutches of this society, then obviously there is an opposition to that. If she wants to take up any initiative, the patriarchal society is not allowing her to take up the initiative. So there will be oppression, social oppressions. And with this reason, the woman also emotionally feels, okay, if I file a complaint, then there will be something will happen to the family. There will be an insult. So there will be some kind of social humiliation. So why I should file a complaint? So in that way, though she is suffering, so though she is taking the pain, but she could not able to vent out. So these are some of the reasons why we are seeing this kind of dowry related deaths, because she used to have this kind of emotion. She doesn't want her maternal family should be suffered. At the same time, she doesn't want that the family pride should get exposed. So she keeps all the pain in herself, within herself, and sometimes she may has to take this kind of unfortunate step. So this patriarchal society, she it is actually dominating. So this is one of the challenge. Second thing is, because of this, the subsequent challenge is economic empowerment. If you see right now the workforce, right now most of the women are in agriculture. Why most of the women are in agriculture? Because the male personality, the men will be coming out to do the outside work. So the agricultural fields are being left for the women. So that's why in India we have this feminization of agriculture. It's not like women are by default they're going, because women are being compelled to go for these agricultural fields. At the same time, if you see the education level, the education level is low. So they are not economically empowered. How many women are the actually salaried employees? How many women are able to come to the formal sectors? So because of this lack of economic empowerment, so she has to be financially dependent on the male personality, the one who is the breadwinner. The next is this, especially among these downtrodden. Among the downtrodden section, they are the biggest sufferers. Physical violence is actually more among the downtrodden sections, more than 30%. So the downtrodden sections are the biggest sufferers here. And along with these things, we have this police official, the law and order machinery. Even if the woman files a complaint, for most of the times, the police officials are very reluctant. Because if she files a complaint, again the male personality will come, there will be some kind of dealing, there will be some kind of quid pro quo. Or sometimes they feel like, okay, more number of cases are getting filed, it looks like the law and order ministry is failing to take care of it. So with that, they will not report, under reporting of the cases. Most of the times what will they do? By giving counseling, they will try to solve the case there itself. So without filing an first information report, FIR. So this is one kind of challenge. And we told you this under-reporting of cases. Though if 100 domestic violence related issues are happening, only very few are getting filed. The reason we mentioned, this family pride, lack of economic empowerment. Woman thinks like, okay, if she files a complaint, who will take care of me? She can't go back to her maternal place because they're one kind of insult. So because here, there's a kind of emotional suffering for the women, those who are facing this kind of domestic violence related abuses. Like what we mentioned. So how to solve them? What should be the way forward? So the way forward should be in all the dimensions. At the social, cultural, educational, economical, political. In all these aspects, first the woman has to be empowered. We have to give like importance to women at the societal level. The cultural taboos like women are weak, these kind of taboos, so we have to fade them out. We have to fade away the cultural taboos, and we have to educate the women, like the kind of initiative that is being taken up by the government, this Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, like with respect to girl child, the kind of initiative that are being taken up by the government, they have to be promoted. Okay, economical level. At economic level, suppose for example we have this Dwakra concept in the Andhra Pradesh. development of women and children in the rural areas. This is a very good initiative. So you have to give a group of women economic opportunities, giving loans to them, allowing them to invest somewhere. So like that, if you provide some kind of incentives, it will give some kind of economic empowerment. Because if you provide economic empowerment, it also provides social empowerment for them. Because there is a close correlation between economic empowerment and the social empowerment. And we have this political level, this 33% is a reservation has to be given. If reservation is not there, then at least you should allow them to contest on their own. We have this challenge of the sarpanch raj. Though we are having this 33% of reservation for women in the urban local bodies and the panchayati raj institutions, but most of the times the woman, behind the woman there used to be the husband. These kind of things shouldn't be there. At the same time, at the country level, right now, what's the average? Around 14%. Only the 14% of the women politicians are in the parliament level. So this has to be increased. They should be politically empowered. More and more number of women has to come and participate. Because if the women's sex ratio is almost on par with men, though not completely, it's around 940. But still, if you see the kind, their participation is very low. So politically, they should be empowered. Economically, they should be empowered. So, along with that, empowering the women, this proactive policing, like police, they should think that it's a major issue. First, they should find out whether it's genuine or not. If it is really genuine, they should not think second thought. They should not go for the second thought. They should file a complaint. Along with this, the civil society, whenever the civil society feels that particular woman is being abused, they should come and take care of her. And we have to strengthen the judicial process, like speeding up the trials and going for the right kind of evidences. So because if you are able to provide right kind of evidences, the case will be solved faster. In that way, the woman can provide justice. So if you are able to do this kind of overall development, then this menace of domestic violence, the social level of domestic violence can be curtailed. Suppose, for example, if you see this UP case study, like the kind of initiatives they have taken. So these kind of initiatives you can use. So they will be very much useful because it will be substantiate to your answer writing argument. Like this community radio program to create awareness. Bell Bajao. Bell Bajao means it's for asking the men and the boys, take your stand with respect to domestic violence. So they should think like, what is domestic violence? They should have this awareness. And with this initiative of the UP police, suppress corona, not your voice. So it's a very good initiative. So like under which there is a helpline number. If the woman calls, the woman police official will come and they will take up the case. So like that, by using the success models and from different places of the country, I just took this example, but there are a lot many examples like this. So by using these examples, if you create awareness, then ultimately the kind of social level that is the domestic violence we can reduce, then our woman will be happy. Because if the woman is happy, the whole family is happy. If the family is happy, the village or the town is happy. If the town is happy, state is happy. If the states are happy, the country is happy. So with that note, I am concluding the session. And I have given the question here. You can take this question. By using the information that we provided, you can answer to this question. So with that, I am concluding. Thank you.